Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. I'm gonna attempt to be a little more constructive today and a little bit more on task and pointed than yesterday. Because attempting to answer a question about burnout ended up being more of a, I don't know, me complaining about my own struggles with burnout. Because it's one of those things where it's just sort of it's a quality that comes with Warframe, which kind of sucks. So I'm gonna try to be in the spirit of being more constructive and productive. Not that DE's gonna listen to this, but I basically compiled a list of like things that would actually result in a positive experience boost, especially for somebody in my position having a clan or an alliance. Because there are things where, um, like, say, if somebody needs help, or even more importantly, if I said I was going to help somebody with something, I can straight up forget if I don't write it down on my computer somewhere. There's no way to tag somebody as in like, oh, I agreed to help this person with XYZ. Like right now, there's a guy that needs help with thermia fractures, and I would love the ability to tag or get a notification for a task like help this guy with thermia, or you agreed to help this guy with thermia fractures, and I just get a notification when he logs on, and I could just message him and be like, hey, bro, you need help with those thermia fractures now? You know, that sort of thing. But it's literally he'll be on for like an hour or two, and I won't notice that he's on. And then he'll message me like an hour later and be like, hey, can I get help? And I have to go to work by then. Okay, going down the list. The ability to save and organize builds. You can link builds in chat right now, right? Like by sharing mod config. But the ability to actually save them. There's a couple where even for like some level of nostalgia, I would love for people to be able to keep builds just for like nostalgia and like the memory purpose, where it's like somebody that I really enjoyed playing, where I could organize all of their builds that they've had. Like I would love to have been able to keep uh like Blago or Nofi's Eidolon builds, or people who did like old school survival builds, like so I could see, and I wouldn't have to rely on remembering, like a Melee 2.0 or a 2.99 repeating Melee build, or maybe like a Melee 1.0 build. I would love to be able to remember those, and it would allow you to like figure out more what's going on. It would add depth, right? Because as of right now, I couldn't show you an in-game Melee 2.0 build. I would have to rebuild it from memory. I can't show you what I've actually used. But also the ability, if it's like a newer player, where I could link like, oh, this is like your base build, this is like a build to work toward, this would be steel path ready, this would be infinite scaling. So the person can then go back and store them and go, okay, this is what I have right now, this is how it's supposed to be built, or a way to build it. I need to work toward this one, but if I keep an eye out, I can maybe skip and go to the next build and get like a full combo build. The ability for somebody to organize those, or to be able to share through clan or alliance chat, like several tiers of builds. So it's like a new person build, um, and a star chart. You should have something like this. Steel path ready, infinite scaling with like a couple notes, where it was permanently available. Um, and people could save them to their own profile and be able to pull them up later and maybe add some notes, right? The ability to use your inbox as an actual inbox, because right now it's labeled inbox, right? It's labeled inbox, but you can't send any messages to it. It would be more accurate if it was labeled places the system automatically sends you messages. It's not an inbox any of us can use. Like there's, unless it's like the where somebody sends, like, gifts you something, and then you get an automated reply. You're not putting anything in your inbox. So actually give us the ability to use the inbox and leave messages for somebody where it's like, hey man, it was really cool. Because the only thing we have that resembles this is you can leave notes. If you look at your friend list, right? If you look at your friend list, you can see this, right? The little attachments. The poker guy. God bless. But like, people can leave messages like this. So if I wanted to like leave a note, you can do this. But there's nothing that tells me somebody's changed the note. I would have to just randomly come across it. So the actual ability to send messages back and forth. I would love an in-game forum or message board, and it can be small and minimalistic, for the clan and alliance. And if honestly, if I had to choose, just make it an alliance, and we could section off the clans. Because as of right now, there's like 20 something clans in the alliance. Okay, like it's a bunch of people, and it's a bunch of small groups where maybe they don't generally care about like the bigger stuff going on. Maybe they're not as hardcore. Like a lot of the clans and the alliance were people that were in um somebody else's alliance, most likely mine. Um and they brought on like a friend or a family member, or say it was somebody older that had like their spouse started playing with their kid, and Warframe was listed as Warframe was more considered like a family activity, right? So it was absolutely my pleasure to spin them off into their own clan, keep them in the alliance so it's still the same social group, but they get their own area. So if there was any way I could do like a like, hey, we're doing XYZ, or hey, what do you guys think? The ability to organize and use a forum to organize group activities. Because right now, as soon as you want to do something like that in Warframe, the first thing you have to do if you want to organize an event in with some sort of order, the first thing you have to do is leave Warframe. You have to go to Discord. You have to go to like a personal message board. You have to not be on Warframe to do that stuff. It's causing you to leave the game or have a second monitor up or a third to be able to interact with people in a more social aspect. The next one, and this is more me being an alliance leader, so this wouldn't be something like a normal person or somebody that just, actually wants to enjoy the game would want. I would love an alliance dojo, something along those lines, or like a grand station, or like an alliance relay or something, right? And the idea of a grand foundry, I could see an argument for maybe not having like a grand foundry in an orbiter, staying with like the theme of like, oh, it's the Lisette, or it's like a tiny little foundry, but like somewhere there should be a place where you can queue up like sequenced builds, where it's like, oh, you want to build Forma for like 100 Forma, and it just builds, and it auto collects, and then you come back and then you pick up the Forma as they finish, sort of thing. And the comment section on the recent video, a couple people were like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why like this game's 9 10 years, how many 9 years old, and you can't build two things in sequence. Like if it doesn't exist at the alliance level, even if it's something horribly expensive, I still wouldn't care. There's eventually got to be a place where it's like, because you're not going to be online the entire time. If you have, in order to build a frame, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have, you queue up all the parts, have them build, and then once they're done, it auto collects them immediately contributes them to the next build, and you put all the money in, so it's not having to take resources out of your account. It auto completes them and contributes them and auto starts building the frame. You still have the time gating, but it just adds a queuing system and a build order. I would love to see something like that, and then like I would love to see like one of the things that I thought was really really impressive with like say Star Citizen is that there was a general hub where you could go and get your ship, and you could see other people running around getting their ships. I would love to see a portion of the Alliance Dojo or the Alliance Relay where people can go in, you can go up to a terminal, ask for your ship, and it'll say your ship's going to be at XYZ in 10 seconds, and it loads in. And you go to that, and there's maybe like 20, 30 docking areas, and you just run to your docking area. And maybe make this instance where it's like you ask for your ship, you go through a portal, and it loads in your ship. So there's like a centralized area for like 500 people to interact with each other. And this is one of the few things where even I would be willing to pay for like some sort of server node. It couldn't be too much, but if they wanted like 20, 30, $40 a month, I would probably be I don't think I'd go 50, but like if they wanted like $30 a month for like an alliance relay for just alliance members, I would probably be willing to spend money on that. And for people where it's like they're way larger clans where it's literally an entire alliance, that's one clan split into four, I'm sure they would probably be willing at the same amount to at least have it subtracted out of their account in plat. Where it's like, oh, you want an alliance relay for 500 people. It's going to cost you 500 plat, a plat a person a month. An alliance with 4,000 people could probably pay 4,000 plat a month for something like this. And these would be the players that would be hoarding plat. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I would definitely start buying plat or actually going and farming plat regularly if that was something where I had that additional cost. But basically, I want the Grand Foundry. Like at some place in the game, you need to get advanced enough where you're not clicking on a Forma every 23 hours. Because I know it was a big deal when they went from 24 to 23. But the fact is like people work. That 20 once every 24 hours thing only worked when I was in college. Okay? I'm an adult now. I am generally going to be on the game every day, but I'm not going to be actively playing. I'm probably most days just going to have Warframe up, like today. I have not played Warframe. I have not advanced anywhere. I haven't even run a mission. Basically, since I've been running the YouTube channel, I've basically been in the simulacrum for the past month. But in terms of like getting on with it, they could even make the Forma build time back to 24 if it just auto collected. Because the entire reason of going from 24 to 23 was so somebody could, if they got off of school or they got off of work at say like 5 o'clock, you would always have a Forma ready for you. So it wasn't constantly cycling around the clock. And eventually you wouldn't be able to collect when you were sleeping or at work or at school. And then it would jump another 8 hours ahead. So it was super annoying. But they could go down, if you could auto-complete, auto-collect a Forma every day, they could then go back to one every 24 hours. And you would just go to your Foundry and just pick up the Forma that was already done. And it would be building the next one already. So I really want something like that. And I know that would help out new players a lot. And more importantly, it would give alliances a lot more meaning. Because the entire purpose of the alliance system essentially was to do solar rails and dark sectors, and we don't do those anymore. So something like that, to where it would give an additional benefit, where say like clans were for BPs, an alliance relay should be something where it's the equivalent of like a citadel in Eve, Like they're horribly expensive, but God, are they worthwhile? You know what I mean? For those that under, okay, a Citadel and Eve is another game. It's a space game, where you have like ships and whatnot. Citadels are super expensive, and they go from something a single person could easily do to something where it literally requires a bunch of people to run, like literally a team effort. And they could have levels for that, for like alliance relays, where it's like a personal relay. A next topic would be a group chat for people that you're not running missions with, where you can have like a separate one. Because right now we only have uh, squad chat, clan chat, alliance chat, region chat, Q&A, and trade chat, right? Oh, I'm actually looking at them. Okay, clan, alliance, relay, Q&A, or help, Q&A, and trade chat. Or recruiting chat, Q&A, and yeah. If I could set up like a group DM with the alliance leaders or the clan leaders in my alliance, that would be tremendous. And it would also help the clan leaders also, because we suffer from burnout. Listen, as the alliance leader, I'm technically supposed to be the person that's enjoying the game the most. Like, if anybody's supposed to be an example of somebody that does the game right, I'm supposed to be that person. But the clan leaders and the alliance leaders can't communicate effectively with each other. Because when I look at alliance chat, it's just a list. And another thing on here was being able to color code people who are ranked. Like I would love to in the alliance chat, I would be able to love to be able to tag people. Not that one. That have ranks. Like like recruiting, like a recruiter, or um, like maybe an actual warlord, and I could hover over them and see, jeez, these names, and see who they are in their clan. Because there are times where it's like right now it's not the case, but say like even like a couple months ago before we expanded the clan, I was getting people that were just like, oh, I want to join a clan. That's pretty good, and I literally could not get in contact with somebody. It wasn't even like I was too lazy. Like I was literally in alliance chat. Like, are any clans recruiting? I have somebody that doesn't care what clan they want to be in. They just want a good environment. And I was thinking of like 4 or 5 clans where they're super active in the alliance. And I'm like, oh, this would be a good place for the go. They have lots of people that like are really active, and it would be a good place for a new person. Because as my clan caps out, the MR and the age of the group gets older because we're not bringing in fresher people. So it naturally causes the MR levels to increase average wise. But if somebody's like MR0, generally that person needs to be with other like MR1s, MR2s, MR3s, so they have people going through the same struggles as them. It's a healthier environment. And I can't tag people who have those roles in their clan as that's their position. So I can't just message somebody, hey, are you guys doing new recruits right now? Blah, blah, blah. There's no way for me to efficiently do that or do that at all, let alone efficiently. Um, I would love the ability to save notes on somebody. Like, obviously, this is more for me, right? Um, but if you could take notes and tag, and this goes on with the second point, if you have somebody that you do something specific with, like when I was scrolling down my friends list, there was somebody that literally just was. Jeez. Um, Poker time. Like this. That's what this guy was doing. Was somebody that I was running Kuva with. And whenever we'd beat on, we would just try to do Kuva with each other a couple times. But there's no way for me to be like tag this person as they log on. Hey, your Kuva running buddy is on. So the additional interaction with that, there's nothing for us right now. Or for me, like leaving like personal notes on like somebody where it's not viewable to them would help me keep track of like what somebody's doing. I could then use it as a talking point to talk with that person. Because if I don't remember, because there's so many people in the clan and the alliance, if I don't remember what I interacted with that person with, I'm literally left messaging everybody or posting in alliance chat, hey, who was the person that I was running with yesterday? And it's not anything personal, but there's no way for that it doesn't come across as I don't remember who you are. It's just it's so many people, there's no way for me to tag somebody on my end and save notes like, oh, this person wants to get to here, or this person needs to farm up blah blah blah. This person is down to run relics doing XYZ. They want to farm up this prime frame or part or weapon or whatever. There's no way that I can tag somebody with a quick little note. So the next time I see them back on, it shows that I have a note on them. I can hover over them and go, oh, I can then pick up where we left off. So something like that. And the ability to nickname people. This is also for like, I would say this needs to be a little broader. Like the one person that I'm keep trying to, like, it's a frustration on my end, but there's one guy in the clan that needs help doing thermia fractures. And I would love to get a notification and to be able to put a nickname next to his name saying, I need to help, like, help with thermia or something like that. Because every time this guy, I notice that he's on, because if I'm in missions too, and if I'm in missions, I'm probably not looking at clan chat unless I have it open. But you're generally not running around with clan or alliance chat open and with the usernames up when you're running missions. You're going to have group chat. If you're running solo, maybe it'll default to clan depending on what you've clicked on. I know if I'm running solo, I have clan chat up. But if somebody pops on, I almost never have the usernames up. So the ability when I see the names going past, seeing the nickname or the tag next to them would help a lot. I'd be like, oh, I said I was going to help this person. Like, I need to be able to follow up. Because as much as and as well-intentioned as you can be, there's like 500 people in the Alliance. I'm not going to remember all of them. I'm not. It's literally impossible for me. Some people have the knack where they can do like 200, 300 people. But tying it to a username is pretty difficult. So, okay, so enough on that. That's pretty straightforward. This one would be super useful for like for a lot of people, and then also the other one for like clan leaders and alliance leaders. The ability to make a farming to-do list. Like, how many times have we tried to do something, or especially when you're farming like the new frames, right? Where the resources are all over every place. Just make a list of stuff that you, like a shopping list of stuff that you need to farm, and as you collect it, the list gets updated of what you've collected. Monster Hunter had this. It was in Monster Hunter World. You need to farm 1, 2, 3, 4 of something. Or wait, was it Monster Hunter? I feel like it's Monster Hunter. Don't quote me on that. But everybody's seen this before, where it's like, oh, you need to get like 5 of something, 10 of something else, 20 of this, and the thing updates with your shopping list. And as soon as you're done, if you're farming for like a frame, or like say you need gems for something, I would love to have you need 10 gems of this, and it's like as you're going around scanning resources in the open worlds, and you're mining, if it just auto updates if you got the right part, right? Like that, I would love to have something like that. And also the additional functionality for like clan and alliances. It's not an issue when doing research. It's not, because generally at my level, you just auto contribute whatever. It's like, oh, new research is done, and you just fill the order right then. Um, but for say like dojo decorating, the ability for a clan leader or an alliance leader, or probably a clan leader in this case, um, to be able to go, oh, the clan needs so many things, and you can see what's left based on the vault, would be super helpful. It's like, oh, I need like 2 million polymer or something, and you can see the polymer count, and as soon as it's done, you can go and decorate the room or contribute to the resource or whatever you need, right? Um, the next one would be color code ranks in clan and alliance chat. I understand there'd be some undertones with like, oh, what color are you? Uh, but as of right now, when you look at like clan chat, you if somebody needs help, they have no idea who they're talking to. Like they're gonna know the person that recruited them. Almost all of them are gonna know me, but like the recruiter, like the survival runners, the people that do eidolons or the people that are farming specific things, there's no way to identify who these people are. Where somebody can change their color, like, oh, I'm farming blah, and people can see, oh, this person's farming kuva right now, or they want help, they want to farm kuva and they want help farming kuva. There's no way to self tag, I'm down for this. And the ability to do um, like ranks would be super good, like an alliance chat. So it's like these are your warlords, like, and more particularly, like even at a basement of like, oh, I'm getting harassment. Who do I tell? Now we don't have this issue in our clan and alliance, and to be honest, I've never really heard this being like a pervasive issue. When it comes up, it's always like a single instance, and it gets dealt with. I will say this: one of the things I'm very proud of in the alliance is we are all very like-minded on like what counts as in-game okay. So it's a huge headache relief if like somebody's like, oh, I got rid of whatever. Like generally, I don't even have to ask. Like we have a place where we can post, this person got banned for this, and it's never been an issue because when people get booted, it's completely justified. There's no issues of like people doing it poorly or stretching or anything like that. Like it's completely justified, and the person isn't malicious. Afterwards, they're like, oh, I kind of deserve that, right? Um, okay, so the next thing would be the ability to organize larger clan events. Because the only place that I have is like a little message board, and it's just like people can't reply to it, and it's like what, like 500 characters or something on the clan chat, but you have to click on clan and then read it. Part of the message pops up, like the daily message that posts up in chat, but the other part doesn't. Um, I would love the ability to like have any sort of organizing where it's like an in clan leaderboard. Because one of the frustrating things is like, say the clan or the alliance needs a resource, right? There's no way to have a leaderboard for that. They want to run like a who's contributed the most polymer, like a polymer farm, and then they have like rewards or something. You're relying on Discord screenshots. There's nothing in game that allows you to go. You can only see lifetime contributions. So it's like, oh, we're gonna do a polymer farm competition. Whoever contributes the most gets this amount of gets like this as a reward. Generally, it's plat. Second gets this, and third gets this, or something like that. And then you can reset or tally the resources for a specific thing for that month. Like there's nothing you can do in game. You're relying on Discord screenshots. Um, And also the ability to have, for larger groups, this is generally an issue unless it's like a like the dojo, like the showcase dojo. Phasing tends to be an issue with more people. Um, Even if it's like a paid service, I would love to see a way to get more people in the same phase outside of because even when you look at like the relay, right? And it's mostly an issue with different regions. Where if somebody's like a European player or like an Asian player, um, or like South American or North American, right? You can be in the same dojo, but you won't be in the same phase because it'll try to isolate you to your region. I'd love to see a way where it's just always permanently everybody's on the same region. Because a lot of times the default for that, it doesn't happen too much when there's only like a couple people in the clan. But if you start getting like multiple groups, they will be out of phase. And like relays can be really bad about this when they start reaching like busy status. If especially if you're from different regions, you have to invite each other to the same group to be on the same phase, even if you're in the same region. So say like I want to trade somebody that's from Europe, and we're doing Mara's Bazaar. If I go to the same relay that they are, and we're both in the same region, there's a good chance we won't be on the same phase, even though we're on the same thing, and I still won't be able to see them because it considers it a separate relay. So that sort of stuff is super frustrating. So I'd love to be able to see like clans be considered like a separate entity for that, where it's just always the same phase, or at least the ability to like get more people in one. Now I understand that's like a server, and like literally the world is a big place, but just is what it is. But the ability to organize events, we have no functionality for it. There's no leaderboard um, that can keep track. You're literally relying on leaving Warframe to organize those. So, um, Dojo Orbiter accommodation. Okay, so that's this one's going back to the like the Foundry. When you're running missions with people, and for whatever reason the rhythm gets into, uh, you're running missions out of the dojo. The ability to continue running missions generally gets interrupted by like somebody needing now you can do most of the stuff through like the menu, but like the ability, if you need something from the foundry, you got to leave, you got to go back to your orbiter. It breaks up the rhythm of being able to do everything, say like a navigation, like oh you need ciphers or something, you know what I mean, like you need ciphers, you're running missions together and you just happen to run out of whatever resource or whatever, you have to leave and then get invited back, and it breaks up the rhythm where if you could just drop into navigation, cook something up really quick, you can just stay together, and it quits breaking up the group. I'd love to see something like that, and maybe make the dojo at least on par, if not slightly better. I would love to see the Alliance dojo, if they ever make that, be clearly better. But like I think the dojo should at least be on par with the accommodations of the orbiter. The other thing would be like a test cluster. They come out with this great content, and its release every single time is kind of screwed up. Like the only thing in recent memory that I can think of that was an almost flawless release was literally the new war. Like if you think back to it, every other thing has been a clusterfuck. Like why are they want people to be hype, and then the first thing you do is you log in and you can't play the mission. Like the Zeraman was so bad when it first came out. It puts people off the game. It's incredibly frustrating. People get hype as hell. You have 250,000, 300,000, 180,000 people watching TwitchCon, and then they get hyped to go play something, or like the Zeraman gets released, and then they go to the Zeraman and it's a horrible experience. I don't understand. It's not my place to try to fix it or even come up with recommendations, but they gotta fix that. It's hurting the game. It's not cute. Another thing, and this will be my final thing. I know, imagine less than an hour and 40-minute video. Um, I'd love to see titles in the game. Like, think like one of the big things in say like World of Warcraft was title collecting. I'd love to see even and have a bunch of them. Literally, don't make it um like a big deal. Just have a ton of them, where it's like the current Speed King of like Eidolons. Do you have any idea how apeshit the Eidolon community would go over having titles? Like the first person to do a 7x3 gets a permanent title, right? Or like the current fastest Eidolon runner for the doing all three of them, the current fastest mission time, you get a small little title where it's like a special icon next to your name, and you just kind of have to know what it is. Or the current person for this week or this month with the highest score in ESO, or the current person with the longest survival time on a specific node. You know what I mean? Like there could be a bunch of things you could add into this, and it wouldn't be anything where it's like, oh, stop what you're doing and do this because it's so impressive. But it would be one of those things where it would add a lot of diversity into the game. And it could be stuff people could do where it wouldn't be grinding out Warframe and just farming stuff. You could have things to do that affect your account, and it could be something, I forget exactly what the term is, where it's something you can work toward, it's something you can sink time into, but it's not actually burning through the content faster. So for like survival runners, where it's like fastest to get to level cap on a disruption run or something, or longest time lasted on like Void Cascade or something. You know what I mean? Like there could be things where it's like they could make a mission node obtusely hard, but you get titles from it. And it could be something where it's like it's not an MR grant or an MR granting node, but it's like a challenge node. And this could be something where like the more experienced players could go, where it's like, oh, you really don't get resources from it, but you get titles from it. So at least it's something separate, where it's like redoable content, and people that love five heading galaxy braining games can actually go and do something. Because right now, as soon as you figure out the content, like say doing survivals, as soon as I get a weapon to level cap and I know it can kill, personally, I'm kind of done with it. Like, okay, this I figured this out. That's cool. Next thing, and I stop using it. Like I haven't used the Brahma and since the ammo nerf. I would just use other things. So I don't know. This is at least a healthier rant. A little more productive. Thank you all for listening to my TED talk. It's just I didn't like the idea of me bitching being a video, so I'll counteract it with something where it's like actually positive recommendations that could help the game, at least from the type of Warframe that I play, right? So anyway, small rant. Thank you. Have a blessed day, guys.